Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Coach Undress with Coaching with Undress. And ladies, today we're going to talk about a very common topic, a very common situation, a very common scenario I've seen in a lot of my coaching sessions, a lot of my client stories. So I want to share with you all not only some knowledge, but some tips, some understanding how to overcome anxiety, anxious attachment. This is called when anxiety has affected your relationships, when anxious attachment has affected your relationship. And everyone has some anxiety of some form, so let's not feel so bad about it. But we realize if it's taking over us, if it's complicating who we are, if it's disrupting the relationship, if it's exhausting the love, that's a lot of anxiety. And the goal is to understand it for yourself. It's not his job. It's not his job. It's yours. And I always say this not to be tough, but I always say a little bit of tough love. If you don't do it, he won't. If you don't do it, nobody wants to. How do you secure anxious attachment? How do you secure this anxiety? Being self-aware, understanding it, learning from it, growing from it, taking accountability where it comes from. There's always a deeper root of the fear than just the obvious situation with him. There's always something. That's what I try to do as a coach. I'm also a licensed life coach as well. So what I love to do, what I take a lot of honor, a lot of pride, a lot of passion is to implement life coaching within my relationship coaching. Yes, I'm a certified relationship coach, and I'm also a licensed life coach. I always tell my clients, if you give me the time, the commitment, we're going to focus on life coaching within yourself, and the reward will be the relationship. The reward will be the right guy. But if you just ignore who you are, if you ignore the self-love, if you just ignore the self-respect that you're supposed to have for yourself just to get the guy, just to get the title, just to get the ring, what do you really think that's going to equate to? I don't know. I get the desire. I admire the passion. But if you don't commit it to yourself of who you are, self-respect, self-love, self-development, the relationship will suffer. We all need to do some form of it. Guilty. I do it every day. I have to. After what I've been through, I have to. Because I've gone through a lot. The whole story is on my website. I've gone through, talk about anxiety. I've gone through a lot, so I had to. I was forced to in that wheelchair. I was forced to in that hospital. How are you going to get over this anxiety? Otherwise, you're not going to walk again. Deal. Done. Simple. But sometimes when we don't have those forced scenarios, we kind of take time and our energy for granted. And we just become more anxious and anxious and anxious and anxious. And they're saying, well, you're not doing enough. You're a bad boyfriend. More and more and more and more and more. That's what leads to number one on, has anxiety affected your relationship? Number one, feeling unworthy of love from others. Feeling unworthy of love from yourself. That's a tough one. That's a heavy one. And I think we've all felt that in some form when in our darkest times, our toughest times, those lonely nights, those questionable moments. But I always say, and I had to go through this myself, it's not what happens to you that defines you. It's what you do next. My injury did not define me. My recovery did. You can only control what you can control. So things happen. Accidents happen. Mistakes are going to happen. How you respond to them defines on who you are. And that is the essence of feeling worthy. Self-love, self-respect. Understanding, man, I just never get a break. My cards were dealt wrong. Tough childhood, tough situation. What's going on? How do I grow from it? Because that worthiness, that self-love, that self-respect comes from understanding that and getting better from that, not from somebody else. It's funny, I was just watching season 3, the final season of Ted Lasso, one of my favorite shows. And I don't know if you've all seen it before, but he's a motivational speaker as a coach, coaching a soccer team. And one of the main scenes was this character, Roy Kent, was talking about how he's not perfect. He's still the same piece of you-know-what, who's always trying to get better for his girl that he's in love with. And he's just frustrated that he's not perfect. He's frustrated that he hasn't changed. So he finally humbles himself and asks for help. And this is part of feeling worthy compared to feeling unworthy. And one of the guys of the soccer club gave this amazing advice. He says, there is no perfect person. There's perfect things. Perfect sightings, perfect, facts, perfect art, perfect elements in life. But people, relationships, all you can ask for is when you are willing and openly asking for help and sometimes take it, you're moving towards better. And that is the goal. Moving towards better of who you are, moving towards better of what you've gone through. That is the worthiness that you're worth. That is the worthiness you want to fight for. Not perfection. Hell no. Ego? Pfft, get out of here. Pride? Nah, keep that for the office. Relationships, love, self-respect, self-worthiness, all those other great things in life takes humility, takes understanding, takes fight. And that's what I love about the clients who I talk to. And I'm telling you, I've coached over 400 worldwide. They all believe in something. They all fight for something, but they're just not seeing it clearly how to get there. But they're open to it. They're ready for it. And I always say, listen, this is not going to be a perfect transition or a perfect coaching session to you know everything now. It doesn't happen overnight. Through our journey, through our commitment, through our relationship as a coach to a client, you're going to take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because you're going to make a mistake. You are going to slip up. But I look at the 1 step forward overall, progress, not perfection, going towards being better of who you are, starting from you. We'll see what happens with him. Let's see if he's worth it. Let's see if he reciprocates that. Let's see if he wants that in his relationship. That's when you realize you don't have to define your worthiness between someone else. You define it within yourself. You'll know by the right guy if he sees that and appreciates that or just basically doesn't. Then you'll know you're in the wrong relationship. Number two, when anxiousness has taken over your relationship, affecting your relationship, harboring negative emotions such as jealousy or distrust. We've all been jealous. We've all been distrusting moments. How can we not? We're human. But if it controls us, if we instigate it, manipulate it, basically make it the ultimate always solution or the outcome of everything, then man, that creates a lot of anxiety. Always thinking distrustful, always thinking negative. My clients always tell me when I talk to them, they're like, I love the optimism, coach. I love every time we get on the phone with you. You're full of enthusiasm, full of optimism. Are you always like that? And I'm like, no. No chance. But what I have done is I've practiced being like that to a point where I get better at it. And it becomes a skill, an emotional muscle, a mental strength to understand that regardless what comes across my life, relationship, personal health, or whatever, I will get through it because I will find the positive outcome of it compared to the negative situation. Being negative is easy, obvious. Captain Obvious over here, ladies and gentlemen, Captain Obvious. Let's overcome that and let's figure out the solution. When you have more of an optimistic approach, then you don't feel so much of distrust in the situation. You understand it all starts with you, the fear of being alone, validating your anxiety. I love this study that I learned so much about this anxious attachment. It's securing your insecurity. You're insecure about distrust. You're insecure about, being negative. So when you finally find it for any reason, even if it's not true, you validate your insecurity. You find security within your insecurity. How crazy is that? Secure my insecurity. Even if it makes me less of a person, makes me wrong, makes me unhappy, but I'm right. Secure my insecurity. I've seen a lot of situations my clients put themselves through that. They might feel like they win with that situation, but actually they lose. Number 3, dating with anxious attachment. Has it affected your relationship? Well, number 3 is highly sensitive to others and their emotions. I mean, you're probably thinking the same thing I'm thinking. That doesn't sound too bad. I'm empathetic, I'm compassionate, but the key word is highly sensitive to a point where you're putting their feelings above yours, their respect before yours. The most common thing I've seen in all the women I've coached, not just with anxious attachment, is they basically are afraid to say no, fearing they might lose the wrong guy. And I always tell them, when you saying no to them is saying yes to you. Yes to your goals, yes to your standards, yes to your values, yes to your intentions in this relationship. And if he doesn't understand and respect your boundaries, your standards, he's the wrong guy, ladies. Don't fear of losing that. So when you're highly sensitive to others and their emotions, that's great if they've shown that they're worth it. But usually the anxious attachment style in the beginning stages is overcompensated. Because if you're highly sensitive to what he is, that means you feel like you're always there for him. You're always caring. You're always listening. And you lose yourself and you don't ask for anything back. But then again, you have all this anxiety, this big void of, what about me? I've seen that happen in the most common situation or with single moms or married women who kind of lose their identity between the marriage, being a mother, being a worker, which is completely understandable, very respectful, but then they become unhealthy. They become anxious. Number 4. The fourth one and the final one, I want you all to, again, write comments on what you're feeling about this topic. Give me scenarios of what it is you're feeling in this situation. Hit the like button, which I'd really appreciate. Of course, hit the subscription, so that way you get notified for future videos. I have more videos on this topic. I also have videos coming up with avoidant attachment and how to secure these attachments. Number 4, preoccupation with the relationships. Preoccupation with the relationships. My life is my relationship. I live for this person. It's very romantic, but it's not smart. Strongly committed, but not healthy. You can't be obsessed with the relationship. You can't be only defined from the relationship. It's somewhat, again, it's romantic in the beginning stages because you got caught up in like, wow, I can't live without that person. I think it's great. But when you're talking about sustainability, a long-term relationship, maybe even marriage, your preoccupation has to be within yourself to keep you attractive, to keep yourself respectful, to keep yourself prioritized, to keep your value high, to keep the other person motivated, inspired, intrigued, attracted, honored to be with someone like you. That's the key part, to feel lucky. Make the man feel lucky that, my goodness, not only is she an amazing girlfriend, but she's an amazing daughter. She's an amazing mother. She's an amazing sister. She works her ass off. She stays in shape. I don't even know how she has time for that. She's such a good friend to her girlfriends. She's always learning some kind of new course or language or activity or a recipe or exercise routine. She's always doing something. All these preoccupations that she has within the relationship within herself. God, I'm lucky to be with her. And she chose me. She chose me. Lucky man. That's the woman I want you to be, ladies. That's the woman I'm going to coach you to be. Starts with you. My name is Coach Andres with coachingwithandres.com. Check out the website if you have any comments or interest in any coaching sessions. Leave any comments if you want to know more about this topic, and I'm here to help you. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate your support. Take care.